Welcome everyone to the channel. I'm Stephen Ray, and today on The Process, let's talk about live stream lighting, specifically lighting for webcams. The goal for this episode is to get the most aesthetically pleasing image for the least amount of money. For this episode, I'll be using a Logitech C920, a perfect tried, true, and cheap webcam. You can pick these up for around 60 bucks. So the first thing to understand about webcams is they're small. They have small lenses and small sensors, and as a general rule of thumb, the smaller the sensor, the more light you're going to need to get a proper exposure. When your webcam doesn't get enough light, it ups the ISO, introducing noise, and drops the shutter speed, making the footage choppy. That's the gist of what's happening on the technical side. So, it's simple. Add a ton of light, right? Wrong. But also right. We don't want to just blast a ton of light into our faces because, well, for one. But second, webcams don't handle highlights very well. Too much light will blow out your highlights and cause you to lose detail in the brightest parts. The technical term is clipping. So we want to take a bright light source and soften it. We'll start with two lights. For this example, I'm using two IKEA desk clamp lights. They don't take up much space and they have a built-in adjustable arm. And best of all, you can pick these lights up for about 13 bucks each. If that's still a little too pricey, you can pick up a 2-pack of can lights on Amazon for around $15. While cheaper, you still need a way to mount them. So if you have a way, then go ahead and go for those. But my recommendation is the IKEA lights. Next, we want to get some nice bright LED bulbs. We're going for LEDs because they are efficient and stay cool to the touch. You'll want the bulbs to be 5000 Kelvin. This is usually labeled as daylight. This means the bulbs are a pure white, not a warm orange like standard indoor bulbs. We need a bright light, so pick up a bulb between 800 to 1000 lumens. For this example, I'll be using two Philips LEDs. These are rated at 800 lumens and you can pick up a 4-pack on Amazon for under $10. Now that we have our lights, it's time to set them up. Attach the lamp bases to the back corners of your desk and place the lamps in the bases. Place the bulbs in the lamps and position the lights just above your eye line and about 1.5 feet away from both sides of your face. Next, we're gonna get a little jank. Stay with me. Grab some tape and 2 pieces of printer paper. This is how we're gonna soften the light. Tape the paper to the side of the lamps like this and fire them up. We want the paper to curve outwards to make the light source a bit bigger and to keep the paper as far away from the bulb as possible. Now obviously paper isn't the best thing to use long term, so do this at your own risk. Don't leave this setup on unattended or for long periods of time. A longer term solution is to use parchment paper until you're ready to invest in proper diffusion material and or lights. This lighting setup is only to get you started. Now that our lights are set up, the last thing for us to do is to tweak some settings. I'm going to be using OBS for this. In OBS, double click on Video Capture Device and click on the Configure Video button. This will open your settings to the webcam. The two main settings we want to adjust is exposure and gain. For this camera, the exposure is the shutter speed. We want to keep this slider as close to the middle as possible. The gain is the ISO. We want to keep this slider as far to the left as possible. Too much gain is going to make the image noisy, and too much exposure is going to drop the shutter speed, making the image choppy. So take everything off of auto and adjust the settings until the image looks good to you. This is where you can play around with the positioning of your lights as well. One last setting you can tweak is your white balance. If you move the slider to the left, you'll make the image cooler, while moving it to the right will make it warmer. I like to make my images a touch warmer, but it's completely up to you. Some cheaper LEDs can have a slight green cast to them, and I find warming up the image can fix it a little bit. That's pretty much it. A really simple 2-point lighting setup that gets you up and running. The last thing to keep in mind is just your background. That's maybe another video. Let me know in the comments if you want me to come up with a cheap background lighting video. If you found this video useful, give it a like, maybe even subscribe. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.